How's it going, fellers? We're gonna check out some more TikToks because I like doing that, and hope you like it also.
This is so wild. So this man called Cliff High developed a software program over 20 years ago that scanned the entire internet and analyzed thematic patterns and language that people were using all over the world to predict the future. Cliff High believed in our individual subconscious intuition, but he also believed in our interconnected consciousness that we all draw from whether we're aware of it or not. So using a technique that he called predictive linguistics, he wrote a program that was able to analyze all the keywords and phrases and thematic patterns and assigned them an emotional value. It then uses a formula to gauge our emotional tensions and write a report on events that will happen in the future. Now, these predictions all came with a precondition that Cliff called temporal markers. And that's kind of like a precursor event, like a trigger event that has to happen before the prediction will come true. So the prediction will not happen until or unless the temporal marker or the trigger event happens first. So what did this program predict? Way back in 2009, this is crazy, honestly. The software program reported of a battle in our skies that got chaotic and out of hand between military jets and UFOs, and also, interestingly, UFOs against other UFOs. And this would mark the beginning of an era where non-human intelligence became a part of our everyday reality. And this was all to take place roughly 39 days after the trigger event happened, so after that temporal marker event. And that temporal marker event was Donald Trump being interviewed by Joe Rogan, which just happened the other day and is already the biggest podcast of all time. But let me explain why this is so wild. In 2009, when this prediction was made, Joe Rogan was far from being a household name like he is today. His podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, had its very first episode in December 2009. And back then, it was literally just Joe and a couple of his mates on their webcams in their lounge room. He had hosted Fear Factor, and he was the commentator for the UFC back then, but even then, the UFC was way smaller than what it is today. And Donald Trump being the president was not even in the conversation. In 2009, he was just a real estate mogul and the guy from The Apprentice. This kind of prediction back then was so far out of left field that it was hardly given any further thought by Cliff himself. And now, in 2024, President Donald Trump has just been on the Joe Rogan Experience, the biggest podcast in the world. And at the same time, we have so many military whistleblowers, Harvard lawyers, Stanford scientists, all coming out and saying UFOs and non-human intelligence are very real, and that we, the public, need to be made aware of this before it's potentially catastrophically forced upon us. The world is so crazy right now.
That's weird. I know this video is from 2024, but maybe that has something to do with all the weird sky events, like the sky turning different colors, the sun looking fake, the stars. There's not nearly as many stars. Maybe we just got a fake sky projected. Maybe there is some kind of battle above. I don't know. And that, I don't know. What do you guys think? It's interesting.
Want to take your souls. We have the power. We decide what's hot. If we don't go, nobody goes. If we don't support, nobody supports. We control what's cool. We control what's hot. We control what your kids listen to, what they dance to. We control what's in video games. We control how they wear their pants, sag their pants. We control everything.
I mean, yeah, that's the problem. The elitists do. I mean, they do kind of control. Too much control, and of course Diddy, that guy, he's a psyop on its own. He's just one of many. I mean, to get in their whole little club, you gotta be a bloodline or make some kind of sacrifice, if you know what I mean. At least that's what I think, and a lot of other people. Let's check out the next clip.
Chances that Louis Jolyon West, the creator of MK Ultra, was at two of the most historical events of all time in a very short period of time. In 1964, Jack Ruby took out Lee Harvey Oswald. Afterwards, in his cell, he was visited by Jolyon West. According to West's written assessment, Ruby was technically insane and in need of immediate psychiatric hospitalization. Mind you, it even points out here, those are conclusions that no one who had spoken to Jack Ruby previously had reached. Roger Smith was Charles Manson's parole officer. He worked at a Haight-Ashbury free medical clinic. But there's more. Roger Smith would insist that Charles Manson attend this free clinic as it benefited him and his family. But as part of the research, a psychologist named Louis Jolyon West held an office at the same clinic. This being the same person that created MK Ultra. Mind blown.
Yeah, I don't know. They say a lot of these serial unalivers, I guess I got to use code words. They say a lot of them are they were put through MK Ultra and all that kind of stuff, or whatever mind control name they want to give it nowadays. But who knows?
Found undeniable proof that Jesus did come back in 70 AD, or you as a Christian are calling Jesus a liar. So in Zechariah 14, it talks about how Jerusalem shall be turned into a plain and it shall be lifted up, and it turns into New Jerusalem. And then it says, once Jerusalem is destroyed during the 7-year tribulation, men shall dwell in it, but there shall never be again utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. So therefore, once Jerusalem is destroyed during that tribulation, no more destruction ever in Jerusalem, and is safely inhabited. So when you put that verse together with Daniel 9:27, because it's the same prophecy, just different point of views of it, it says that the temple shall fall 3.5 years into the 7-year tribulation. Now, obviously, we think the dates are off, but we have a 7-year war. And then within that war, the temple fell 3.5 years, just like Daniel prophesied. So if you agree that, God isn't a liar, why is it that this prophecy was fulfilled and we still believe it's about a future timeline, when we know God said once this happens, Jerusalem will never be destroyed again. It will be safely inhabited. So why do we believe that the Jerusalem today is the biblical one, when we know that it literally said it will be lifted up into New Jerusalem and never destroyed again? Where does that fit into Jesus coming back today? And when you put into consideration that Daniel was writing about a future temple right after Babylon destroyed the first, so the next temple was automatically the second. So if it's the second temple that mathematically adds up perfectly with the prophecy, and we know the next one was the second one, why is it now a third temple? Because we know Jesus dies at week 62 in the 70-week prophecy. There's only 8 weeks left. That's 56 years. I'm pretty sure if my math's correct. So how is that now a 2,000-year gap? I don't know. I would love to know in the comments.
Yeah, Revelation already happened. If not all of it, as predators believe, then there's still a couple chapters left. Like the people that believe we're in the little season believe, which I usually lean towards that camp. But sometimes preterists they make good points. That some things aren't taken literally. It's just yeah. I mean, it's what you believe. Either way, I don't think it's a salvation issue. If you believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, you're saved. So, you know, I hope that you guys all do. Here's the next video.
Studio, maybe in Omaha, Nebraska or something. The shot is so clear. Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
See the hair?
I don't know. We're going to have to do something for you.
Can everybody float around for us? That was really cool, Chris.
Oh, couple more.
I think Sandy's hair is pretty much a dead giveaway. I think Sandy's hair is pretty much a dead giveaway.
The ISS is the worst NASA production to date, bar none. It is a sloppy, illogical, has massive technical issues and even larger plot holes. So many, in fact, it is difficult to know which to address first. Where do I start? Alphabetical? Chronological? Order of importance? The first one that springs to mind is probably the most ridiculous. It is what I like to call ISS hairspray. Remember earlier when I said nerds watch everything? That now includes all footage from the International Space Station. On that station, there are a lot of things that do not make sense, including the very station itself. The ISS is supposedly in zero gravity, which means all loose items inside should have a certain flowing feeling about them. You can see this in zero-G planes that people sometimes rent. It is a kind of like being in a swimming pool, where things like long hair act a certain way. Only women on the ISS have long hair. No one on the station should have any hair at all. Hair of any length would break off and quickly clog the air filters. It would get everywhere. There is a reason why public swimming pools require shower caps, yet NASA lets it slide. I will too, in order to move to a bigger issue that stemmed from this slide. Now that long hair is allowed on the ISS, you have to deal with the zero gravity issue visually. In true zero-G, long hair flows like it was in water. You can see this in zero-G plane footage. Hair flows naturally to and fro and is expected. This is not the case with the ISS. The women's hair almost invariably stands straight up, like the Bride of Frankenstein. I know that reference dates me. I'm older. Their hair is literally permed, or at the very least sprayed to death. This is what I like to call a production risk. It is unnecessary and reckless. If you are staging a zero-G scene, there are a number of ways to visually deal with hair. You can pull the hair back into a ponytail. You can wear a cool NASA hat. As mentioned above, you could make short hair mandatory for both sexes. The last thing you should do is set the hair in place. It never looks natural. Yes, it can be done to add a cheap zero-G effect, but you do not have to do it because the public already believes you are in near-Earth orbit. Again, all of this is easy to find. Simply search ISS hairspray. After that, you could look for ISS green screen, where the technical issues never stop because NASA is fond of giving live interviews to media and school children. One of my favorites is watching an ISS member reach for and put away a hat on the other side of the room, even though he never grabbed it. You see, the floating hat was CGI and the monitor layer glitched. I cannot do it justice here. You will find it.
Wow, that was kind of a funny video. Yeah, I don't think any of their video footage from these space stations are real. They all have massive problems in them, like the string and the hair, and the heads floating out of the green screen, like it floats into a wall and their heads are cut off. Yeah.
Tchaikovsky, the father of Russia's space program, as early as the 1890s, believed that they were interacting with angels or some form of a non-human intelligence through rituals and meditative practices. Jack Parsons, a pioneer in American rocketry who was not only out in the desert performing rituals with the leader of Scientology, the same man that Dr. Hal Puthoff dedicated a significant portion of his life and finances to, but Jack Parsons was also deeply embedded in occultism, something that is absolutely no secret that the Nazis were fascinated with. During World War II, the invention of the V-2 rocket by Werner von Braun was an unprecedented leap in technology. But Hermann Oberth is considered the father of German rocketry, and he worked alongside Werner von Braun during the war. And he is very famously quoted for saying, "We cannot take credit for our record advancement in certain scientific fields alone. We have been helped, and we have been helped by the people of other worlds." After the war, between 1945 and 1959, Operation Paperclip brought more than 1,500 top Nazi scientists and engineers, including Werner von Braun, to the United States with the aim of harnessing their profound expertise in aeronautics. The North American Space Association, NASA, was then established in 1958, and in 1960, Werner von Braun became the first director of the Marshall Flight Space Center. There he was the chief architect of the Saturn V rocket, the massive launch vehicle, just here, that powered the Apollo program and enabled the first human moon landing. And you can see nicely here a trail of events on how that happened. So we can thank the Nazis for that one. With Werner von Braun as the first director of the Marshall Flight Space Center in 1960, and today mission controller Tim Taylor, who follows this very strict, holistic lifestyle approach, believes that in this human antenna theory that can connect himself to a form of intelligence, it's not a huge stretch to assume that this knowledge and esoteric approach was entirely founded by Nazi Germany and transplanted into America's space programs through Operation Paperclip after the war.
Yeah, I think all them people are freaks. Like they're all occultists, and I mean, People that believe that kind of stuff, little fruity, if you ask me.
Conspiracy theorists and Christians, I got a crazy one for you. I think California is the promised land. I think the Grand Canyon is actual Egypt in the Bible. And then on top of that, I think Jesus came back in 70 AD, which is what fits all this together, which is why you see this place fully nuked. It's actually meltology. This is from Tribulation. Pangea is a real event. It didn't happen billions of years ago, though. Just like this didn't happen through billions of years of water erosion. It was during Tribulation. Now, before I continue the video, I don't have much time, but please watch my other videos about Jesus coming back, because this won't make sense unless you accept that first, or at least know what I'm talking about. But as everybody can see, this is a bird's eye view of the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon is said to be formed by water erosion, but when you actually look at it, that's what the Grand Canyon looks like. The Grand Canyon was very clearly struck by lightning. Now let me show you how it's the promised land in California and Grand Canyon in Egypt. As you see in the 1700s map of America, California, it's its own island, and it has a sea between America and itself. And when you look up the name of that sea, it's translated to the Red Sea, which we all know Moses had to cross. As you can see, it says Gulf of California or Red Sea, and it was an island. Now, if we look at the Grand Canyon and where California is today, they're very close. That is not a super far walk. And when you put the images over each other, Egypt is literally just a little walk before the Red Sea, and boom, promised land. Not only do these look like melted sphinxes and pyramids, but literally there's temples of Osiris, temples of Buddha there, all idol worships there. And in 1909, Teddy Roosevelt was about to close the Grand Canyon due to safety reasons, because they wanted to keep people safe and they wanted to stop from gold mining or whatever. So 90% was closed off, but right before that happened, this guy went to explore and he found an underground city with temples and Egyptian artifacts, hieroglyphics, but then also Buddhist idols and then Egyptian idols, and he found Egyptian mummy warriors. He documents this in his letter. They say how it looks like Buddha, but they aren't sure. Then he talks about the mummy warriors that obviously had their own little tomb system, which is obviously, like, the pyramids were not Egyptian tombs. Like, the pyramids are for free energy sources, and to think that pyramids would mean it's just that's Egypt, that's not how that works, because there's pyramids in every single continent. So the pyramids isn't what signifies Egypt, it's the people. Egypt is the people. And this might sound a very unbiblical and just crazy. And to me, I still can't grasp my head around it, but I'm just publishing this because as somebody who calls themselves a journalist, I have to obviously publish both sides. Even if I'm wrong, I'm still trying to put out the truth to see if it could be right. But then we have verses like this where in Matthew 12:1, Jesus and the disciples are eating corn together. Now, if anybody knows about corn, it's only grown in North America. So that's something I'm struggling very much if Israel is Israel today. Then Noah made the ark, which is made only of gopher wood, which is only found in Florida and parts of Georgia. So it's like, okay. Then, obviously the United States has many mountains, which Israel is supposed to have in the Bible. But Israel today only has one real mountain, which is Mount Hermon. But, that's it. But California, obviously, is known as, the hills, right? And, they have palm trees. And there's just something about California. Anybody, nobody's dying to go to Israel. Everybody wants to go to California, though. Then there's Los Angeles right next to Cali. then there's all this evilness in Cali. Like, what's with the obsession with California, with the evil elites? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? Then we also have Utah, by the way, which is like word for word almost identical to the word Judah. So also, like, think about the fact, like, what the heck just caused California not to be an island anymore? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, if we're not in the little season, like, there's no third temple. Nothing that's happening today makes sense with an Antichrist or beast or anything if you actually read your temple. Yes, they're trying to make it seem that way, but if you actually read your Bible, you see right through it, so you know it's not that. Like, please, if you're still at this point and you haven't seen my other videos, watch my other videos, because, you know, I'm still struggling with this theory of California being a promised land, but it makes sense, and other things don't make sense. So, you know, if anybody wants to prove me wrong with this, I'm willing to be proven wrong on this. Obviously, I know we're in the little season, but if you want to prove me wrong with this, I'm more than glad to be proven wrong. So,
yeah, I think this stuff's super interesting. I'm gonna play more of this guy's videos on my reaction videos coming up. But I know there's different theories on Israel and Egypt and Babylon all being in North America in different spots. You know, some say California, some. I mean, you know, the Israelites had to be in the wilderness for 40 years, right? So, I mean, I know the wilderness they say is the desert, but I mean, what if it was actually the wilderness? And I know there's some people that think Israel was in South America. There's this book called When Rocks Cry Out I read, and it was talking about Israel being in South America. But there's a lot to that too. But also with the Grand Canyon, it seems like something massive happened there. What if that's I don't know. Just seems like something massive happened. It definitely I don't know. But I don't know, it's all super interesting. There's a lot of different theories. And I'd like to explore more into that definitely. Probably make a video just on um, you know, Israel being in the Americas.
Freedom of speech today in here.
I did not take away your freedom of speech. There's a.
Yes, you did.
I don't want to hear it from you people down here.
Just because this is an uncomfortable topic.
Officers, please remove this man from the room.
You can't have 3 doppelgangers. You can't.
As you just saw, this man here was escorted out of a Brevard County Commission's meeting, and he was so because he was presenting evidence that the astronauts of the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion back in 1986 are actually still alive. It was a pretty traumatic day, and those who witnessed it never forgot it.
1 minute, 15 seconds.
And here's the astronauts who unfortunately lost their lives that day, or so they want you to think. Now, it might shock you to find out that all of the astronauts who supposedly died that unfortunate day have all been found to still be alive and using the exact same names, or claiming to be the siblings of those individuals.
Challenger astronaut Judith Resnick, and also a Judith Resnick Yale law professor. Michael J. Smith, the pilot of the Challenger astronaut, and also professor at University of Wisconsin, now retired Michael J. Smith. Commander Dick Scobie, who is now president of Cows and Trees.
So the 2 astronauts he didn't mention are both pictured here, first being Ronald McNair, who is shown next to a photo, a current modern-day photo of who is supposed to be his twin brother, Carl McNair. And the same for this gentleman here, Ellison Anazuka, who is shown next to a current photo of supposedly his twin brother, Claude. Now, apparently no birth records could be found for either of these supposed twin gentlemen. But if that's not enough for you, then check this out. This is the memorial service for the Challenger crew, and this is the family of Ellison Anazuka. And I don't see a twin there, do you? And here's the family of Ronald McNair at that same memorial service. And again, I don't see a twin. Would they have missed the memorial service? Be sure to check out part 2.
Yeah, NASA's fake. They're a front for something extremely bad, I believe. Here's part 2.
Are you aware of that there's a rumor on the internet that people are saying?
Yeah, it's not me, obviously. I mean, anybody that looks at my background, looks where I was born, it's not me.
So the gentleman who took this video apparently tracked down Michael Smith to ask him what his thoughts were in regards to the fact that he not only looks like the Challenger astronaut, but has the exact same name.
I mean, it's interesting that the Michael J. Smith that was the astronaut looks something like me when we were younger, but really not.
Yeah, you just sure look alike. It's the same
I
name.
know the facial thing, but that's what we looked like. What, 40 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. What are the odds that the three on the top have an identical doppelganger living to this day that has their exact same name? And that these two on the bottom apparently have an identical twin that doesn't have any birth records. And this is apparently live footage of immediately after the Challenger exploded. They went to zoom in on the parents of one of the astronauts and look at their faces. It doesn't really communicate a grief. I mean, you could say in shock, but he's smiling. I mean, what is your interpretation of how their reactions are here?
And we're supposed to believe that 3 people from one space flight have exact lookalikes that have the same age and same exact names.
Sir,
Mr.
I'm going to
Scobie
have
not only has...
I'm going to have to stop.
Sir, this is a public comment.
I know what it is, sir. I'm very familiar with the public comment.
Will you let me finish for at least 10
No,
seconds?
sir, you're finished. Thank you.
You just violated the First Amendment.
I didn't violate the First Amendment.
you
You
didn't.
violated the
This
rules.
is a limit.
Officer, take him out also.
Everyone just calm down. They can leave willingly.
Wow.
No, we're leaving willingly. You don't have to remove us.
You just made a decision about NASA. You're making your decisions based. Well, you violated the First Amendment.
Yeah, these guys, a bunch of just punks. But yeah, I mean, it would have been a lot harder back then to research that these people are still alive with the same names. So that's probably why they didn't change the names. But things are a lot different now with the internet and Google and all this and that. But next video.
Called a coffin confessor. Have you heard about this?
Coffin confessor.
Yeah, so it's like a voice after you die.
Yo, wait. What do you mean by that?
Listen. So right before a person dies,
Yeah.
they can hire this coffin confessor to come on their deathbed with them, and they're gonna confess like, those 3 people, I hated them.
Word, yeah?
I cheated on my wife, and just tell it, right?
Yeah.
So the coffin confessor will write down everything, and at the funeral will expose everything.
That's lit. What the fuck?
So listen.
So he has like his time. He's like, let's see what it says in the book.
Listen. So there's a case where a guy was dying of cancer, right?
Yeah.
And he called that coffin confessor up, and he said, "There's gonna be three people at my funeral that I completely hate. They were fake friends to me, and I want to expose that my wife cheated on me with my best friend."
Oh shit.
So the funeral is going on.
Yeah.
They Bill, come here. The coffin confessor.
Yeah.
He said that the 1, 2, 3, you were fake friends. I want you escorted out. They got escorted out the funeral, and that his wife cheated on his best friend. And they looked at each other like, what the?
That's crazy.
Wow, that would. I guess that would be kind of funny. Man, people these days. I mean, I guess people have always done dumb things, but that is kind of funny. So. Anyways, that's the video. I appreciate you watching. I hope you watch more videos by me. I'm about to release a lot more reaction video clips. I'm also going to go back into Christian content, of course, because I love Christ, and I hope you guys do too. Anyways, if you don't, I understand, but I hope you get there. The gospel is Jesus Christ died for your sins on the cross. He was buried and rose 3 days later. And, he's the Son of God. He is God. If you believe on him, you are saved. Period. Anyways, thank you for watching. I appreciate every one of you, and have an awesome day.